Hey there, Capsuleers. You're listening to Low Life, an EVE Online podcast discussing life in low security space, hosted by Chyph3r and Spence. The Low Life podcast is not an official CCP Games production. It is a labor of love by two veteran EVE players with a passion for the game, and low sec life in particular. The views expressed on this podcast are their own. Warning for all you sensitive types out there, we do cuss and troll on this podcast, so listener discretion is advised. The show can be found at evelowlife.podbean.com and on your favorite podcast dissemination apps. And now, on with the show. All right, so here we go. It's been 8 years.
8 long years.
Yep, since we last sat here and did a podcast together. And if you go by what Rick and Morty says on their last season, podcasts are for fat white guys. So it's appropriate that here we are doing this.
Exactly. Two fat white guys.
All right, so this is, for those of you listening, this is, we're going to call this episode 1 of the Low Life podcast. Not only are we residents of Low Sec in EVE Online, but we're a couple of low lives, so it fits. Chyph3r and I have been playing this game for an extremely long time. I'm coming up in July on my 17th anniversary in EVE. What about you? You're a little older than my guy.
Well, no, I'm 2005 on my first character. Then I took some time off and then came back 2009 with Chyph3r. I mean, between 2007 and 2009, I think I had a 6-month break. Been playing this a long fucking time.
Yep, and we've all won EVE from time to time. I mean, that's
exactly.
You have to do it. Anyone who has been playing consistently the entire time, my hat goes off to you. I probably question your sanity. So today we're going to try to keep this show on track, which is hard for Chyph and I when we talk about this stuff, because we like to go down rabbit holes and just totally get off topic. But first of all, we got a couple topics tonight we're going to go over, but we got some short ones we're going to go over first, and then we'll get to the main talk tonight, which is going to be about a little trip we took to the memorial in Amarr. Molea, I think is the name.
Molea, yeah.
Molea. And we took a couple guys from our alliance down there to take a look at the memorial, mostly newer guys that have never seen that before, just to kind of experience that part of EVE. And to, like I said, we've been playing a long time. So there was some memorials to friends down there that are no longer with us that Chyph and I wanted to go visit. So we're going to kind of make that the end topic, our final topic for the night. But first, wanted to talk a little bit about, it is now the season of CSM candidates.
16.
16. And it was funny because just yesterday I was sitting there looking through some of the stuff in one of my hangars, and I have I don't know what you want to call them, the trading cards from the CSMs going.
Oh yeah.
CSM1.
I remember those.
Yep. So I still have all those. I've kept them because I always thought they were cool that CCP did that. And
I've still got my piece of Steve, so I'm good.
It's cool to kind of see that stuff and go through the history and the memory of all of it, of how long that the CSM's been around. Now I know that there's always been the CSM doesn't do jack shit. CCP just uses them as a to hold it up in front
as a
of
PR,
the
PR
exactly.
thing. But it's truly not.
No, and it's a way for us to be able to, at least if nothing else, feel like we have some representation. Okay.
Yeah, and not giving CCP Swift a bunch of crap. We go through our reps, and then they give it to them.
Yeah, it's like having Diplos, just like in an alliance.
Yeah, exactly. The chain of command.
Exactly. Now, do the CSM actually have the input we would like them to have? Probably not. CCP is a business. They have to run it as such. They have overlords that they have to answer to. So, we've got to...
Yeah, who is it now? Korean overlords?
It is South Korean overlords now. So.
Okay.
Yeah, no longer White Wolf, no longer any of that. Yeah. That being said, starting on, it's already started, but the season is now coming up where you're going to start hearing on the podcasts and on all the streams and all that happy horse shit that we have in EVE, like you're listening to right now, about these different candidates saying their piece and trying to get their message out there. We're not going to go through all of them tonight. What we will do eventually is do the CSM candidates We'll have them come on. We'll interview them. We'll give them 30 minutes to kind of talk about their platforms. We'll ask some questions. Chyph and I have always historically been very good about keeping ourselves neutral about that when they're on the show, so that way they can say their piece. We can ask some good questions, no aha gotchas, but try to get that information passed across to you, the EVE player, so you can make an informed decision during the voting process. That being said, there's a couple that have popped up, kind of flashed on my radar today, and I wanted to briefly talk about them now. I just want to say, first of all, that this is obviously our opinions, and we've been playing a long time, so sometimes we do better vet it.
We know a lot of the older guys running for CSM.
Right. Mike Azariah is running again, you know?
Hell yeah. I love Mike. Mike is an awesome dude.
One of the big things for us being low sec residents, as we are, I've been a low sec resident for, it's kind of been my thing, other than kind of moving to high sec, and sometimes when, you know, you kind of take a EVE break and come back, you kind of go up there for a little bit, and then you move back down to where you feel comfortable once you remember where all the buttons are and get your UI reset. But I've spent most of my career in low sec. Chyph3r has spent most of his career all over the place except for high sec.
I don't do high sec. High sec is for beginners.
Yeah, and he has a lot of experience with that end of it. I've done some null sec, but I claim nowhere near the experience that he does with it. But that being said, us being a group of low sec trailer trash,
it's a good way to look at it. That's what low sec pretty much is trailer trash.
We are. The cops come down here, but only when it's an emergency.
Yep.
There's a lot of crime.
A lot of crime.
A lot of crime. Used to be the place to get drugs in EVE. Now you can get them anywhere, but used to be the place to get drugs. So that would be nice to bring that back again. You know, make.
Yeah, it used to be my 8 Mile.
I had reached out to the heads of the alliance that I'm in, and I had said, hey, you know, I think I would like to run. I ran years ago. I think it was like CSM-9. I ran. I think.
Yeah, 9 or 10, one of the two.
Yeah, and I was going to run as the faction warfare guy.
Yep, because we were in Fwedit.
We were in Fwedit. I whipped my slaves back and forth, back in the good old days with Pinky Feldman and all those other guys. So
the good old days.
Yeah, back when
we were better vetting.
Yep, killing the Minotaur dissidents and kicking them out of the good Imperial space for God and Emperor.
Exactly. The Empress.
Back when faction warfare, that little pop of it, when faction warfare was fun.
Yes.
I was thinking, you know what? Maybe I should go ahead and throw my hat in the ring as a candidate for low sec, and you know, because typically low sec residents, we feel like we get overlooked. You know, the null blocks usually put up their 4,700 candidates, and then they pick who they want in, and they tell all their guys, go vote for this guy.
Yep.
I was going to do it. I talked to the alliance leader. I said, hey, you know, is it okay if I do this? Because I didn't want to just do it, you know, and say, you know, I'm representing this, or if they had a candidate they wanted to put forward or whatever. I got the green light. They said, go ahead, go for it. So I was like, cool. And I started getting things ready. I was getting a team of guys together, Chyph3r, a couple other guys that were going to help me with my media for it. Then, you know, because again, we're not a big block, so we can't, you know, we don't have the people with like all the talent.
We don't have the voting power.
Well, yeah, or like even that mass of people that have a lot of media talent that they can draw from. Like, you know, goons do a great job with that. You know, they do a good job.
The goon propaganda is class act.
It's on point. Yeah, and like, you know, Karma Fleet with their queer ass videos, but I mean, they put out stuff. So they, you know, we don't got that. We're a small little group. Not to say that my guys aren't talented, because they are, but that's not the point. And I'm looking through Reddit, of course, because I'm one of those fools that's stuck on Reddit. I have been since I've been playing this game. And
Spence, I can't go to Reddit. I'm banned.
I know you're not. You're banned in a few places, but that's what happens when you speak your mind like you do.
That's true.
That's why we have to have our own podcast, so that you can do it without people.
So we can throw the edit button right out the window, so we don't.
As I was looking, I saw something. I was actually looking at the Vegas stuff, getting ready to, you know, prep for that. We got some guys from our corporation that are going to be going, and we're getting that arranged. I'm excited about going to Vegas, get things back to somewhat normal after the whole COVID thing. And I know COVID isn't over, but that's a different discussion.
Yeah, I'd love to go, but that is my busy time for work.
Yeah, and that's a lot of people. It's a weekend, which means it's expensive. But we're going to probably do a whole show in Vegas. I'm going to get my wife on here. She's a travel agent. She can kind of talk about different hotel options and things. Not like telling people what to do, but giving some advice and some guidance about that. So we'll do that. That's probably going to be coming up here in a couple weeks. I did notice that one of the guys who helps organize Vegas and, you know, tries to pump it up is Rixx Javix.
Yes.
Rixx has been around for a long time, and he does
longer than me.
He's does a lot for Eve. I mean, for the community, straight up. And he's done work. He's done artwork for Eve Online.
I've got a character head with a hat on it because he put it on there. I don't have the link for it anymore, but I'm sure we can go to Evil Ganda and find it.
Probably my with Aradus wearing his fez.
Yeah, I have a Detroit Tigers hat, I think, or a Space Monkey hat because I was in Space Monkeys then.
He does all kinds of cool stuff with that.
Yeah, it was cool as hell.
He's a pirate guy. He's a low sec guy. He's been a low sec guy.
As long as I've known of him, he's been low sec.
He was in on the invasion of Pravi back in the day, one of the earlier invasions.
There's been many. We've invaded Pravi many times.
Yeah. Pravi has burned. It will burn again. That's the way of Pravi.
Yep.
Low sec space faction warfare guy, small gang solo PvP. He does ship fitting stuff. He talks tactics.
Does a lot of graphics for the community.
A lot of community development. Has worked alongside CCP on projects, and see, that's something there that's a big deal. All right, so because he knows these guys.
I agree.
He knows these guys. I kind of decided, and I talked with Chyph3r about this the other day, and I haven't really gone to the alliance leader yet, but I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to sit back this year, and I'm gonna throw my vote behind Rixx, because I think if anybody can represent low sec properly to CCP and do it with an air of fairness, with both what has to be done with the business's standpoint as well as the players, the customers. I think Rixx is the one that I would want to see there.
Oh yeah. I mean, Rixx is just he's got an elegant way of speaking. He's a dirty low sec pirate, but he knows how to speak. Unlike me.
Yeah, or me. I just prattle on. But he's a solid guy. He's done so much for Eve, and I think not only would he represent us well, but I hate to say it because this doesn't mean you should be on the CSM, but he deserves it.
Yeah, so, he deserves a vote.
Yeah, he does deserve. He has earned my vote with his actions.
There's already two people on this list that I will vote for, and one's Rixx and one's Mike Azaria, because I voted for Azaria every time, so why would I change that?
Yeah, he's a solid guy. Moving on from that, so Rixx, that's one of the things, and we're going to reach out to Rixx and see if he'll come on the show, and we can have him give a little talk so you can hear it from his own mouth what his plans are and stuff. Okay, so that being said, I'm going to go to this next one. There was a guy named Phantomite that was also a low sec guy, and I'm just going to read this real quick.
I did some research on him. Evidently, he was in Low Life the Corp, which we are not affiliated nor
with,
have any clue about them because they're in that RC hates.
Snuff,
that's it.
Okay, sure. Low Life is a common term in Eve, so
yeah.
So hello to the Eve community. I'm here again to continue my crusade for consistent, smart conflict design and against abandoned, stale mechanics that have not been iterated upon as the game changed around them. I am not happy to have low sec ignored as it has been for years. Faction warfare, meaningful conflict generators, and the lack of personal income sources that don't force group consolidation are at the top of my list of passions. I've lived in low sec for most of my career. It is very much my home, though I do have plenty of experience from time spent in a few low sec groups. Smaller scale fleet action is where I feel most at home. My depth of knowledge and quality of experience, life and death in low sec make me suitable for this position. This suitability and my championing of important and neglected causes what got me into the CSM last year. This year, I have an extra advantage, a year's experience in conversing with CCP, getting to know who to ask which questions, building connections and experience in communicating with the community about what developments have been discussed. Now, I'm not going to read the rest of it. You guys can go to, I'll put it in the show notes, but there's a forum link. I do believe just like any political body, there needs to be a mix of experienced people who know the ins and outs of the system, the bureaucracy, and have the relationships, as well as new people who bring new ideas to the table. Yeah, no, I'm with you, totally with you on that. I mean, I've read this little thing he put on the forums, and I've looked at his website, not much there, but it kind of draws on his CSM run last year to this year. Some videos, I guess, are on there. I didn't really see too much of those, though. And we're going to have to we'll talk with him and see if he'll come on the show, too, because we're going to try to get all the CSM candidates that are going to make
eventually, yeah.
One of the things he does say here, he kind of wraps up saying, I'm an independent candidate who gives a rare point of view to CCP not dictated by power blocks or shaped by politics. So that being said, I wonder what he considers not being part of a power block, because I would consider Snuff.
A player in the game.
Yeah, especially in low sec. People would consider Arcia, Rekking Crew, a form of block because they got so many allied groups within the coalition. I would say Snuff is a smaller yet very vocal and powerful block as well.
I think they showed that in what we'll talk about later.
Yeah. Again, not too sure about what that guy's what's going on with that, so we're gonna have to talk with him so we can get you guys more information. The next one I have on here is Isaac Collins. This is another one. It says piracy and low sec are my life. Hello, my name is Isaac Collins, and I've been one of the many scumbags of Eve I already like how he starts out, who primarily and almost exclusively does gate camping and smart bombing. I do not enjoy other activities, and what I enjoy most in this game is being able to truly troll and hurt people in the game. I enjoy being one of the bad guys. That said, I have my fair share of losses. One among them is a 7 billion ISK officer fit smart bombing Macarial. He gives links to it so you can see where he lost it when he was baited. So that's pretty cool that he put that in there.
Yeah, it is.
He says, I also hold the 19th position in the top kills of all time in the Onyx, exclusively and only done in gate camping, camping 0 fleets and null sec whatsoever. Gate camping, and I believe gate camping and being a pirate is true content, and I believe it helps create more content. The primary benefit of being a gate camper is the passive income that you can get from killing people, not having to haul much stuff to you in terms of modules, more or less living off the traffic and the land. You get nice dynamic bounty bonuses in your system, up to 197% currently in Rancer. So there are many benefits. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but basically he talks about he's a low sec pirate. He's unapologetic about it. And it's funny because the first comment that's on here is from BRISC, and we're going to get into why this is funny in here in a second. I kind of like this guy. I do want to get him on the show too. I want him to tell us about, more about his past and what he sees for the future, just because it's an interesting perspective.
Yeah.
On the other side of that, and here we go. Salty warning.
Yes, there will be much salt with this candidate. So you better do this.
Give your balls a tug, you tit fucker.
Yeah. All right. So let me start off by saying this. Prior to reading this guy's CSM post for CSM-16, I had no opinion about him either way, other than he's a fellow military vet. Now, let me back up a second.
He gets a little bit of respect for that.
Yeah, we give him the benefit of the doubt. Cypher's an Army vet. I'm a Navy vet. We run a corporation
full of vets.
It's centered around being military veteran. So that's kind of our thing. Omni Defense Corps is about that. Okay? So that being said, I'll give a vet the benefit of the doubt. However, this guy made my jersey come out a bit. I'm just going to say it.
Were you ready for fisticuffs?
I try not to get too...
Or the bottle. Which one?
Oh, man,
need to get drunk to read this.
All right, I'm just going to get into it.
Yeah.
RonUSMC for CSM-16. How did I start an Eve? I followed a group of people from a thread on Reddit to play a spaceship game. We formed a corp, dread it, and then a bit later an alliance, test alliance, please ignore. I went along for the ride, and I've been in test ever since. I take breaks every now and then to avoid total burnout. If you want to know about those, go ahead and read Reddit about some of the Star Citizen incidents and stuff. But play daily and hear the gripes of new players and old players alike. If you read Reddit, you might know my other name, Satan. I am the only non-profit.
Why didn't he go with something like Satan Devil Dog?
He's
or Satanic Devil Dog. That would be better.
Not enough vitamin C in the crayons in breakfast this morning.
Yeah, evidently.
I am the only non-propaganda nullsec FC that talks about the war politics and tries to have a laugh while doing it. I am the only pappy streamer, so expect tons and tons of random Imperium hate. First of all, let me say this. I am not a member of the Imperium.
Neither am I anymore.
Yeah.
I do not wear the Bumblebee as my tag anymore.
And I never really buy into the goon stuff. I always take it with, I always look at it as tongue in cheek because I know that they're putting their spin on things. Yep. So anytime a goon comes over to me and says something, I'm going to need 3 references to make sure it's true.
I wouldn't put it past them trying to blow one by you because, that's what goons do.
Right. And I expect
I was one.
Fair.
I know.
Yeah. And that's fair. I'm okay with that. Right.
Yep.
But I am the only non-propaganda nullsec FC. All right. My main points will be content deniers. Okay, guys. So anyone that's listening to this, that's listening to it because you are a low sec player or you enjoy low sec or you're curious about it, this paragraph This is the one right
This
here.
applies to me right now.
I had to grab the maker's mark. My main points will be content deniers. I feel that gate camps, asset safety camping, pipe camping destroys more content than anything else in the game. 2 or 3 times a week, I have new players come to my channel and talk about how they can't leave high set. Every gate is camped. Here we go, guys. Here he's making absolutes. Every gate is camped, and they lose more ships trying to just leave high sec than they do running missions or exploring. The common excuse is, this is Eve. Yes, but then why don't the gate campers ever lose any ships? It's Eve for them as
Jesus
well.
Christ, we do.
Rob, what did you lose to that Gila on the Masaba gate the other night?
No, I lost a Gila. I lost a Gila. I lost a ONI, Osprey Navy issue.
Yep. I almost lost a Gnosis.
I did lose a Gnosis the other night. Totally different night. I didn't lose 3 ships in one night. It was like over 3 days. But yeah, we lose shit.
Yeah, not only that, but we're not like we're not pro gate campers by any means. When people start making absolute statements like this, especially someone who wants to represent a player base and they deal in absolutes, I have an extreme problem with their maturity level.
I got one thing to say about them.
Go ahead. So this is what it goes on to say this as well. Ganking needs a balance pass. I am a
balance
UX,
pass?
Yeah. I am a UX architect by trade and would love to throw out some sketches. I despise players who feed on new players. I think stream sniping in high sec is an issue for new streamers. I was the FC for Legacy super carriers during M2 Part 1 and lost a Leviathan in M2
Part 2.
Part 2. Sorry, it's not proper English in that sense. It was bothering me. I know Wars and Nullsec FCing. I have friends all around the game and have really enjoyed streaming it.
Yeah, okay. He doesn't have a friend over here.
All I heard from this was he wants to take things away.
He wants to nerf low sec.
Well, he wants to nerf Eve.
Yeah. HTFU.
So some people were saying in here in the comments on the official Evo forums about, they're kind of challenging him on this content denier thing. So we've got a nullsec FC who wants to nerf low sec. So right there, I got a problem with that. You don't even play here, dude.
Yeah.
Some comments on the Evo forums, this one guy says, instead of virtue signaling with the quote unquote save the new bro flag, perhaps you might have some concrete ideas on how to actually stoke some content to share, because just making Eve safer because new bros doesn't seem to me like a plan to create more content. So there's another comment. I'm just kind of reading, like he kind of comes back at people with this stuff, but none of it is productive.
He's not somebody we want on CSM.
Yeah, so someone says, it was Gregorin Massot, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. What makes asset safety camping a problem? It seems quite a bit more forgiving than the previous system of leaving the person's assets in a station without docking access prior to asset safety and upwell structures entering the game. RonUSMC responds with, I agree, it is better, but there is no counter. Okay, whatever. And then he posts...
If you need to get your shit out and you have corp mates, you bring them with you to get your stuff. Wow, that's really hard to figure out.
Hold on, it gets better. So then he posts a link to the Masaba kill board, the Z kill board for the Masaba system, which is in low sec down by Provi. It's the entrance to Providence over there, okay, by RTAC. So and it is a known camped NPC station, because a lot of assets from people who used to go down when CVA was in charge of Provi, when they had it down there with Provi block, they would do a lot of ratting and farming and mining and everything else down there that they did before Rekking Crew came through and cleaned it up. And they removed all the residents of that area. Well, there's a lot of assets there, and there's also still things that like people will fire sale out of there because they can't come down and get it. So Masaba Station is notoriously camped. So it says, this is what he says to that. He posts Masaba and it says, it's the same people camping day in and day out on a kickout station. There's no counter besides bringing a big fleet so they dock up. Okay, so obviously RonUSMC does not understand.
He figured it out.
Station.
No, he figured it out. You bring a bigger group.
Well,
I mean, that is Eve. The bigger group wins.
Instant undocks or jump drive to a Sino. We had a guy today. He was in a ship.
Yeah, he was in a ship.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're having brain farts. It's kind of late when we're doing this.
Yeah, apparently the guy was able to get out of the station because he undocked. He was still within the undock and vulnerability. He had his stuff set properly, and boom, he was gone.
Yep.
So
I couldn't even get my frickin' info point on him because he was gone that fast.
He was gone. So it happens.
Yeah.
So
you got to be smart. You got to be smarter than the idiots camping. You got to be smarter than me.
Yeah, and that's not hard for
no, it isn't
for me and you.
No,
you know, it's not hard to be smarter than us.
No,
so
it
people
isn't.
Get away all the time.
Yeah,
and we're not even gate campers, guys. I'm not saying like we're sitting in Masaba Gate. We're not Masaba gate campers.
No, but we were at the Masaba station because we saw on intel that there was a Naglfar trying to get out. That's the ship that was trying to get out.
We happened to be in the area,
and we were in the area, so we went there. Yeah, I mean, who doesn't want to kill a Nag?
The point is, and this is any station in Low Sec, any NPC station in Low Sec.
Yep.
Doesn't matter where it's at. With this being said, it's the understanding of the mechanics of the game. If you have your bookmark set, if you're flying a ship that big and that expensive, I would hope that you understand the risk you're taking and take proper precautions to move it around. If someone is coming down to Low Sec to buy a capital ship from an NPC station, and they are, let's say, just a high sec player that has done really well with banking their ISK, and they want that big shiny so that they can, they can park it somewhere and go sit in it once in a while and spin it, and that's cool. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But understand, you're either going to have to leave it in that NPC station or you need a plan to move it. If anyone that is listening to this thinks that any alliance that deals with large, expensive ships doesn't have procedures in place to move those ships, you are sadly mistaken. Those alliances and those players that are flying those caps do not last long in the decent groups. They do not last long. EVE is a game where you have to be smarter than the other stupid person sitting outside the station.
Exactly. And that's all it is. Kudos to that dude who got that Naglfar out, because he outplayed me. And kudos to him. He did great. He set his Sino up early and jumped to it as soon as he was able to.
Yep, he was gone. Boom. Disappeared.
I was pissed, but I'll live with it.
Yeah. I mean, there's times that we've jumped through wormholes. We come out on the other side of EVE from where we hang out, and we see some big ships that are out there doing things. They're ratting because they're in a system for them that's very secure. And we let the bros know and see if anybody wants to come take a swing at them. The majority of the time, those players, the second somebody's in system, they're on whatever alliance they're in, whatever coalition they're on intel already. Hey man, I got somebody in system, or they have a response fleet waiting nearby anyway.
Yeah.
So that's the ones that succeed in this game, at least for
I want
a little while.
I want to read this because this dude said it perfectly. Ananide?
Sure.
I think that's how you say it. Shoot me later. Says in the forums, "Oh my God, allow me to wipe my tears of laughter. Ron, I am a Marine, USMC, himself wanting to be CSM. The guy that, one, routinely bans any goon that asks his opinion on M2 and why he quit to play Star Citizen. And then two, quit to play Star Citizen after being denied SRP for being in the wrong pod in a Titan. And then three, I mean, he's got 5 of these, but he whines. It's like this guy actually knows him, like in-game knows him. This is probably an alt that, has flown with him for years. But in the end, it's just like, dude, his last question was, what did you do for the new bros in the past year outside of making them watch your stream?
Yeah. So, for someone who is supposed to be a representative of EVE to the streaming community, and does have a decent number of people who go watch him.
Yeah, he made partner somehow. I don't know. I can't listen to him.
Well, yeah, I have, but I just honestly, it wasn't for me. I'm not hating on the guy for that. It's just there's a lot of streams in different games that people love the streamers, and it's just not for me. That's okay. It's media. That's how it is. There's people that are going to listen to this podcast and say these guys are fucking retarded, and they're going to turn it off and never listen to us again. That's okay.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Some of them are in our own corporation. They'll be like, God, I can't listen to them talk all the time. There's a lot of stuff. There's people posting on here that some people are just giving them vim and vigor and a lot of hate because they don't like them. However, there's a lot of people on here that are pointing out things that he has done that show that what he's portraying himself as is not true. And that's the thing. Eve has a long memory.
Yes, it does. And there's a history.
Yeah. The Eve community has a memory. And when people do things like this, like, I despise players who feed on new players. Well, okay. Well, he's clumping all of Low Sec together as that it's just people. If you live in Low Sec, that's what you do. You're telling me
that's what I do.
If a new guy flies into a null sec pocket and starts mining, that they're not going to blow him up?
Oh, I'm going to blow him up.
You're smoking things if you think that's true. The whole, think before you shoot, NRDS, that's always been a pipe dream, because even when CVA had Pravi block, that wasn't really a thing. That I remember reading that. This is going back over a decade now. I remember reading that and saying, let me go check that out. I'd like to explore that and see what they're doing down there.
Yeah.
And I went down there and I went to their website and I filled out the little thing that I had to do. It said to go here and look at this and put your name in this stupid thing and make sure that you're not on a kill list. And I did, and it looked fine. And I went in there, and I think I was in there about 3 jumps, and I got blown up. Nobody local said anything, and it was a part of CVA that did it. So I was like, okay, so this is just the way that they troll for kills. I'm cool with that, and I left.
So mine was the exact opposite. I didn't go to their website. I didn't read anything. I just hot dropped their asses. They didn't like it, so I'm red.
Yep.
Although I did go to their website and look to see if I still had the perma red. I do not, which really upsets me. CVA really upsets me.
They're not around as big as they used to be anymore, and I'm not knocking them for that, but they're just not what they used to be.
No, they're not.
Okay, so I'm going to wrap up the RonUSMC thing so we can move on to our next topic and get off the CSM for now. I just got to say, usually we want to try to uplift and show the good things about Eve, but there's a danger here with this. And it's something like this where a person's coming in here saying, literally his platform is, I want to nerf an area of the game that I don't even play in or really understand.
Yeah, I agree.
So he is the anti-low sec candidate. So
we're going to be against him just because that's where we live.
Yeah. So you literally just with your post, he kind of came in and pissed on our lawn. So will I have him on the show? Probably not. I'm sure he thinks his britches are too big to come on a little show like ours because, he's a big, bad stream fleet guy.
Yep.
Even though we're a bunch of veterans, and I would love to have him on the show just to talk to him as one vet to another and ask him to explain his stance.
His demeanor.
I'd even bring an extra box of crayons as a treat for him. Yeah, you've got to get the right flavor. And, any people that aren't veterans that are listening to us do that, we're not knocking him because he's a Marine. The crayon thing's a joke the military has with the Marines, okay? We say they eat their crayons. So
and the Navy people are all not heterosexual.
Yeah.
And Army guys sniff markers.
Yeah, and you're poor.
And we're poor. And Air Force guys have it the best out of everybody in the military. Because
there's guys in the Air Force?
Well, there might be. I don't know. Never seen one.
If he wanted to come on and he wanted to actually talk about this and say, well, hold on, let me explain myself. I'm not good at typing out what I think. I'd rather say it. Fantastic. Prove me wrong.
Bring him.
Change my mind. So
bring it on, Ron.
Yeah, as it stands right now, I'm a little salty about that. So
yeah, I don't like his ideas either.
I think stream sniping in high sec is an issue for new streamers. I got to be honest with you. What are you watching on a stream in high sec? What are you watching? Are you watching somebody bust Veldspar?
Okay.
I don't understand.
When I stream snipe, and I do, and I won't deny it.
No.
Because you're giving me a tool to find you and shoot you in a game that's all about finding somebody and shooting them. Now, there have been times where I wasn't stream sniping and got a streamer. That's just bonus.
Yeah, serendipity.
Yeah, but stream sniping is a part of the game. If you don't know how to cover up where you are or cover up the gates that you're going to or hide that intel, then it's on you. It's not on that player who's hunting you. And not every stream sniper kills the person they're going after either. Because I know a lot of stream snipers who will just go there and just mess with that guy mining or that guy in his mission just to mess with him, just knock him off his game, and won't hurt him at all. So there's all different levels of stream sniping, and he doesn't understand that either.
Yeah, there's absolute statements being made.
Oh yeah,
that is not a good way to be a leader.
No, it isn't.
So, okay,
that's why he's not a leader in test.
Yeah, so we're gonna get off of that now. We've run.
Bye, Ron. Have a nice night.
This particular article, and it was written on the 11th. It's called "Clash of Low Sec Titans: A Trillion Isks Snuffed in Amamaki." Okay, and it talks about a battle that occurred. Rekking Crew and their friends were going to pop a station that they'd been popping of snuffed outs of Snuff Station. And they'd been, Rekking Crew had been popping a bunch of stations in support of a group called Siege Green, which is a Korean alliance. They're based in Secede. It's one jump from the Lantorn system. This is kind of a staging area for
I think I've died there before.
Yeah, I've died there too. Yeah, you got to be careful. But if you're ever cruising through Low Sec and you want to, if you're kind of newer or whatever, or you haven't spent a lot of time in nullsec or whatnot, and you want to see capital ships, go ahead and cruise through that area, because if you do it at certain times of the night, especially European time zone, you will see Snuff out in all their glory. They'll have all their big toys out, so sometimes you can see them staging for something. It is kind of neat. Just don't hang around and take too long watching, because they will blow you up.
Yeah, don't take your screenshots fast and run.
And go.
Yeah, do it like a drive-by, Yep.
Kind of this particular phase of the conflict between RC and Snuff has kind of become a Reddit meme where RC is throwing a lot of ISK worth of ships and assets to blow up these Snuff stations. Snuff just keeps dropping more stations. I mean, it's almost like a mini nullsec war in low sec. And honestly, with the way the World War B has been droning on for months now, coming up toward the year, it for a lot of people, it is a breath of fresh air to see interesting coordinated fighting in a different area. The propaganda is an overload with this. There's this particular battle we're talking about in Amamaki. Apparently there was a leak from on RC's side. There was some spies, some allies passed information, some RC allies passed information to Snuff, let them know that there's going to be a bash at a certain time on one of their fortizars. Snuff went ahead and prepped an ambush, and the ambush went off and they succeeded. And I think Snuff lost like one Titan, but RC lost.
It says the attackers' lost males totaled 146.5 billion versus the defenders, which would be Snuff, 212 billion.
A significant ambush
on Snuff's side.
Snuff. Yeah.
No, and hats off to them. They, Eve, you're going to have spies. Been there, done that.
Yeah.
No longer in test because of it.
Ron, are you going to nerf spies too?
Yeah.
So ambush is a success, right? Rocket, who is Rocket X, is the head of Rekking Crew, says unfortunately enough, intel leaked for Snuff to alarm clock, and in the U.S. time zone they were able to form up 300 pilots, which they're normally an EU time zone group. So that is quite amazing. That's pretty cool. So yeah, kudos to them. Hats off to them. Here's the thing that I want to talk about. It's not the battle itself, okay, which is fantastic. You can go read about it. There's already videos about it. It's what I'm noticing is there's a lot of hate flying back and forth on Reddit, which is usual. That's the echo chamber of Reddit, about this particular conflict that's going on. And that, it's completely polarized. Either you are completely
with Snuff or you're with RC.
Yeah, you're one or the other. Like it's kind of like, U.S. politics, the way it's been the past, 5 years or so, not even more than that actually, but going back, let's call it the past decade.
Yeah.
And people get polarized, they identify as something. It's this identity politics. Well, now it's in Eve too. I identify as this. Well, these guys are the enemy, so I must be the good guy. The problem with this is we've got the people that are actually part of it that they're saying, after the initial sting of getting their ass whooped, a lot of the RC guys are saying, like, It was fun. We're having fun doing these battles against Snuff, and then they're even making jokes about it. Let me find the one quote. It was kind of funny.
Well, that's what Eve is supposed to be. It's supposed to be fun. It's a freaking game. It's not a Second Life. It's a freaking game. And if you're not having fun, GTFO, there's the door.
I'm trying to find this.
Like, it sounds like that person we talked about just a little while ago isn't having fun. So there's the door.
So there's a couple quotes in here that were done by RC members. It says, like, in Rekking Crew, we provide other alliances with the content necessary to facilitate their continued growth. That's from Absolute Truth. In a relaxed exchange of banter between several members of his corp, 5 Teak and INN. All of our cannon fodder is 100% organic and grass-fed. We are proud to say that nowhere else in Low Sec can you truly get as close to a source of such a wide array of content as you can with Rekking Crew. Rekking Crew, we're not content unless our members are. In other words, content.
Yeah.
So, I mean, right there, it's showing that these guys are like, they're taking it well.
They put a goon spin on it.
Yeah. So it's like, exactly. It's kind of like when, the goons, we're bad at Eve. We die a lot.
Yep.
How the goons were and still are.
They still are.
That. Mm-hmm.
I can confirm this.
So there's another quote in here that says, and hold on real quick. The author is a guy named Gwailar, Gwai.
Yeah, he's in Karma Fleet.
After our Titan Whelp, one of our guys, this is one of the Rekking Crew guys, went on Talking in Stations, pretty upset, and it was Snuff who private messaged Dave Matterall from Talking in Stations to take the VOD down and reached out to our guy to make sure he was okay. It completely reset the whole mentality of my guys when it came to Snuff. So in other words, Snuff is talking a lot of shit. RC's talking a lot of shit on Reddit. It's part of the game.
Yeah.
But they're still having fun. It's
and when they thought somebody was in distress, they extended that olive branch to say, "Hey, dude, you okay?"
Exactly. Like, hey, all right, this is obviously beyond being in a game right now. Let's take a step back from this and let me just make sure you're all right. Because at the end of the day, we're all Eve bros. And if you've ever gone to an Eve gathering, Fan Fest, Eve Vegas, any of the other ones, the localized ones around the world, you will run into people that you fought or that you thought were a complete shithead. And you're going to sit there and have a beer with them, and you're going to be like, you know what? This is cool. Like, these are the people that I couldn't stand, and now I'm seeing that they're just normal people like me, and it's all part of the game.
And that goes for, like, us doing these podcasts. We've run into a lot of people that we don't really care for their Eve persona, but we've talked to them off air, and we're like, you know what? You're not too bad.
Yeah.
You're a dick in game, but you're not too bad outside of it.
Yeah. And that's the good thing about it. When you can have a mature community. The problem we're starting to run into, and this kind of folds back to the CSM stuff, is I'd really hate to see is a community, the Eve community, become so polarized that it's a good guy, bad guy with everything, even outside of the game. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But I would like to see these battle reports keep coming through about RC and Snuff fighting, because it's content. And for what we're focused on, it's low sec content. And that's great.
Yeah, I don't think there's been a battle as big as BTEC-R. I mean, this is the closest thing to BTEC-R that they had in low sec in years.
Yeah.
I mean, if anything, this is definitely the biggest event in low sec in at least 10 years.
Probably, yeah, I would say. But then there's a lot of other drama that's going around on this right now. Like there's a thread on Reddit the other day about some stuff going down involving Noir and a Freeport Keep star, it getting blue on blue AWOXed, and it wasn't fair and all this. And it seems like the person that was kind of pushing that was not even really involved with it. He was claiming to be like a former Noir member that he wasn't anymore, but he was speaking for Noir.
Well,
so that right
first,
there gets
both of us know Alex, and Alex is well versed in being able to talk for himself. He does it every time on his podcast, and he knows who to talk to and who to, he understands what's going on, which is fine.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like there was a lot of spin, and then when the people actually involved started commenting, it was like, oh good, we're actually getting to the real story now. Like Sadaz from Dread Bomb started commenting because he was involved. I believe Rocket even started talking on there. Some of the other RC guys, they had the guy who actually bought the Keep Star was talking about, like, I don't know why this is a big deal, It seems like there was some communication breakdowns. I'm not going to get into the whole thing with that. My whole point of it is there was a communication breakdown at one point, and it got caught up in the Reddit propaganda, and it really became like an issue for a few days. Now, there was mistakes made. There was serious communication mistakes made about informing certain people like Blues and whatnot about the fact that something was about to happen, so they could protect.
So it was a communication
assets.
breakdown.
Yeah, and that's fair. That's a fair thing. That sucks, and that needed to be addressed.
Well, when you're busy, attacking somebody else's targets, I mean, yeah, you're going to forget. You're going to forget to put that memo out.
Well, and apparently, again, I don't want to get too far into it because we're coming up on our at the 10-minute mark here.
Yeah.
Apparently, like, there was information put out, but it wasn't clear or enough. And I've even kind of looked into it, and I don't have any dog in that hunt whatsoever. It's not my shit. It's not my area. That whole area of space. That's not. But there, like, even when I listened to what was put out on the Declarations of War podcast by Alex Card, and when I looked at some of the communiques that apparently went out, it was like, well, number one, it didn't get to all the people who needed it, and that was very vague. And you said you were going to clarify it, and you never got back to it. So it kind of got lost in the shuffle, and then that means that friendlies for you guys started losing assets, and that's not good. So there's definitely a communications breakdown there. Shit happens. Some people were it was very polarizing. Some people were like, F that, this is Eve. Some people were like, that ain't fair. What if somebody, it went really, like, people were going way left and way right of the argument.
And I understand if somebody medically couldn't get on game and they lost their stuff. But this is a game where you can lose your stuff by not being around. So you accept that as soon as you join this game and start paying for it.
Yeah, and there is asset safety, and you still pay 15%, and but it's in there because so many people complained about getting locked out of stations and having their stuff held for ransom in stations they couldn't get into, that they put that in there. So like, there are ways to do it. It's just it's not careberry enough. I don't know how else to put it for some people, and that's cool. But on the other note, like I said, there was some Blues apparently involved in this, some allies that never were informed properly. So I mean, there were some mistakes made there.
Yeah, and it's bound to happen.
Yeah,
there's a lot going on in this game, and that station isn't really a high priority.
Right. And honestly, if that was my space and there was a quote unquote free port in it, I wouldn't want it there.
I would shoot the shit out of it.
That's a security hole.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand, but there could be procedures in place to make sure that it's done properly. Okay, so we got about 8 minutes left. Let's move on to our last topic here. We took a trip down to Molea, which is about 3 jumps from Amarr Prime. I know it's just Amarr, but I'm going back. I've been playing this game so long. We used to call it
Amarr Prime because everything else around it is named Prime.
Right. So we took some of our new bros down there, and it was a non-combat fleet, of course. We went down to Molea, and we went to Molea 3, which has a memorial. What they call
Fallen Capsuleer.
Fallen Capsuleer, yeah, Fallen Capsuleer Memorial. So anyone can go put a deployable container there, and as long as you're within, I think it's 250 kilometers of the beacon, it is set to 0 decay by CCP, meaning it will never go away. It will stay there. It will not fall off the map. The whole point of it is for people to be respectful, and if you've lost there's been someone in Eve, a player who has passed on, or even someone just in your life that you would like to put a memorial up for them, you can. So when you go in there, or something that was just very important to you, I've seen everything there from, other players, which we'll talk about in a minute, to people saying, Dad, I miss you. We your last few years I wasn't close and I regret that. To people saying, my dog passed away last month and that dog was a big part of my life and I miss you. So it's people that have an actual hurt in their life because of loss,
and they're dealing with it in a positive way.
Yeah, in a game that they love.
Yep.
Okay. Now there are a couple shitheads that put stupid things up in there. We noticed a couple of them. I passed on some information. There were some guys that put up just stupid, ignorant cans, and I passed it on to their alliance leaders. Like, hey, keep your reputation clean. You might want to tell this guy if he's still active to go take that can down. For the most part, everything in there is very respectful. Now, while we were there, we were trying to find some of the cans for some of the people that Chyph3r and I have known in the game and that are no longer with us. And one of the main reasons we went down there, and a lot of people are probably going to roll their eyes because it was in the Eve media a lot when it happened, but it was in the Eve media for good reason.
Let me remind you guys, September 11th, 2012.
Yeah, so that's when the incident went down at the embassy in Benghazi. No politics involved with this. We're not going to talk about our opinions on the incident in real life. Chyph3r and I have very strong opinions about it, and we're not going to get into it out of respect for Sean, who in game was known as Vile Rat. So, Rob, I'm going to kind of let you talk a little bit about Vile Rat, since you are a former
goon. And I was in SMA when his time came. He was probably one of the most laid-back dudes I've ever met. I mean, just, dude, you had a problem with somebody, in our little coalition over there. You just went to him, and he would listen to what you said, went and talked to the other person, and then found a way to bring you together. It was never a negative thing. He was always a positive. Goon Swarm, his family have lost in 2012, a very good person overall. And there's a lot of things like, if you've ever watched Pinky Feldman's video, there's a lot of guys in other alliances respected him because he treated everybody equally. You were never below him. You were never above him. You were just another dude playing internet spaceships. And I was on Jabber that night and watched all the chaos on Jabber go down. It was sombering.
Yeah.
And I've seen that stuff happen in front of my eyes before as a combat veteran, and honestly, I think it was worse getting all the news over Jabber than it was in real life.
Yeah, feeling that feeling of helplessness. I remember the next day when I found out what happened, through friends and Eve. I was
of them being me,
in shock. I mean, I grew up in New Jersey. I was in the military during the original September 11th, 2001. And I was stationed away from home. I was on the West Coast when September 11th went down. And I remember the feeling of helplessness as I watched the second plane hit the towers, knowing that not only was my family literally right there across the Raritan River from where this was going down, but my brother-in-law was a Port Authority police officer, and he was there. So you couldn't get in touch with anybody. So that feeling of helplessness and loss of control, because, military guys, most of us, we like to have control of a situation. We like to have at least influence over a situation. I remember when the Benghazi incident went down, and I found out that someone I actually knew was there and was a victim of it. I remember that feeling of helplessness that I had. And I got to be honest with you, Rob, when we went to the memorial, that came back when I was reading his can.
Oh, I believe it. I mean, I was there when we did the lighting of the Sinos. I grabbed the first Sino ship I could find and get LO for. I loaded that MFR up, put it in there, and I had my Sino lit before they even told us to light our Sinos.
So again, guys, like the whole point of this is getting back to the why this is on an EVE podcast. We would never have known him but for EVE Online.
Exactly.
We would never have had an opportunity to remember him but for this memorial, which was originally started by players, and then CCP did the right thing and made it official.
Yeah, that you got to go there. If you've never been there, that's, depending on your sex status, it's a 0.7 system surrounded by 1.0. So if your sex addict sucks, you might want to fix it.
Yeah, be careful before you go there. But, make an alt. Go there on an alpha. Just go check it out. We sat there on the beacon for a good 20 to 30 minutes. No one comes and messes with you. I mean, you got to be a real dick to go mess with somebody when they're at the memorial.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
even I'm not that big of a dick.
Yeah, that's a good thing about EVE, though. Usually when things like this go down, Sino lighting ceremonies, for the most part, people are okay with it. I mean, there's been crossing of the lines during wars for this kind of stuff when the major powers say, hey, we're going to have a fleet coming through here and they're coming for this ceremony. So just let it be. Like everybody calls it, a non-aggression pact for the day.
Yeah. So, and that's what's really cool about the game.
Yeah. And that's one of the things we want to point out. One of the other people that I was looking for a can for, but there are so many there and I just couldn't sort through them all and find it. I did just a quick little story about this. A couple months ago, I was running in Low Sec and with a couple pals, and we were looking for targets, and we found these really, really blingy ratters. So we jumped them.
Of course.
We tackled them, and one got away, but we got the other one and we blapped it, and it was a good kill. And we good fighted in local. And then I just, as usual, you're clicking as you're looking at your targets with intel. If you're somewhat experienced at this, you always want to intel your target first. And I noticed that they were part of the Honda Accord, Tata-O Industries. I know the founder of that. So through podcasting, actually, her name was IZZLER DAINZE. And IZZLER DAINZE came to, I don't even want to call it notoriety, but semi-fame in EVE because she was a high-sec industrialist that collected other high-sec industrialist Care Bears, and they made a pretty good alliance for a while. They were pretty powerful money-wise, and I mean, it even showed with now this, a decade later, this particular person that we ganked was in a blingy-ass ship, and they were okay with losing it. Like, they were like, yep, yeah, we got some more, got some more back at the barn. Good fight. Yep. And before they left local, I said, hey, do me a favor, tell IZZLER that Spence from TEN TV podcast says hi. That was the name of my podcast back then, Tactical Entertainment Network. She said, the person in local said, Aradus, can you DM me real quick? And I've never had a target tell me that unless they want to tell me, fuck you for killing you. But
yeah, and then we just send them the complaint form.
Right. And this person, I wasn't getting that vibe. So I was kind of like, all right, well, let me figure out what's going on here. Didn't pot her. And I told the guys, like, let's not pot her. And I went ahead and shot the DM, and we all went to a friendly station, a blue station, and tethered up just in case we were being held for a trap, because it's EVE, right?
Yep.
And
you got to watch out for the trap.
Yep. So they could have been metagaming me. That's cool. I would have accepted it. But anyway, so I said, hey, what's up? And they said, how do you know IZZLER? And I said, well, I had her on the podcast when she ran for the CSM. A lot of people gave her shit because she was this, effing Care Bear and blah, 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 blah. And I was really impressed with the way she comported herself during one of our CSM roundtables. This is going back to like 2012.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Yeah. And I was really impressed with it. And I actually, I friend listed her in EVE, because I always respected her. And anyway, they said, well, yeah, you obviously know who she was. Izzy died a few years ago. She had some health problems and she passed away. Well, I didn't know that, and that was kind of a sad moment for me because I was like, oh my god, like I didn't know that. It's not like she was my best friend and I kept in touch with her, but still, I had an hour and a half long conversation with this woman about her ideas for EVE, and I was really impressed with what she wanted to do for our game that we play. And to find out that she had passed was a sad moment, you know what I mean? And that's one of the things about EVE, that we're touched by these people around us.
Yeah, one day you're their enemy, the next day, you're hugging because somebody you both knew passed.
Yeah. And that's part of EVE. So eventually I will go back when I have some time, and I'm going to look to see if there is a can up for her. And if there's not, I'm going to put one up. But, I did feel that sense of loss again with that too. Like, oh man, here we go. We lost another one. And the EVE community has lost a number of members due to COVID, due to other things through the years. And it's just, when you go down to that memorial, it's two things. Not only is it sombering, but it's also, you should really take it as encouraging that the community cares. And, the only time on Reddit you will see people be nice to each other is when they post about someone passing away in an alliance. Even if they don't know who the person was, you will see salutes, the 07s.
Yeah, I still don't do those.
The Sino was lit. They do the Sino was lit litany. You will see that. And nobody goes on there and says, fuck that guy, he was an asshole.
Yeah, because he wasn't an asshole to everybody. Maybe just you.
Well, and fuck that guy, he was an asshole, he dies in Z-Kill. But when somebody does in real life, that's different because we're not talking about their character now.
Yep. And we're going to do these little memoriams, try to do them every show, just send out some love. So if you guys want to contact us, hit us up in game, Chyph3r, Chyph3r. Hit me up in email.
Yeah, we'll definitely, if you've got a story about somebody from EVE that is no longer with us and you would like us to make dedicate the show to them, we can do that. That's not a problem.
Yeah, not a problem at all.
Yeah, we would actually like to do that
These were just
want to remember all the folks that aren't with us any longer.
Yeah.
That's the only way people survive after they pass is in memory. So,
and these two people touched our lives in the game and kind of outside of it. We're human. We're not jerks all the time.
Not all the time.
Just in game.
Okay, so now that we've done that, I've got one more thing. I did promise that I was going to plug a recruiting ad for a friend's corporation. Just so you guys know, if anyone has a corporation out there, especially a low sec corporation, because we are low sec focused, you would like us to plug your stuff, go ahead and reach out to us. There is also, I've done this going all the way back to TEN Evening News. If you would like to sponsor a show, which means I make an actual ad or you make an ad and we put it on as a bumper on the front and back of the show, get in touch with me. We do charge ISK for that. So if you would like
shit ain't free, brother.
Ain't free, but you can do it. We used to do it with Summer Blink and evetimecode.com and a lot of the other groups used to do it back in the day, groups that aren't around anymore.
Yep.
But if you would like to go ahead and do that, I mean, we can do that. For this particular group, our good friend Johan Penderson asked me to go ahead and give a plug to This Was the Way. Their ticker is Beskar. They're a group of guys looking for new folks that are interested in doing low sec and null sec living and operations. They do train new players, okay? They are looking for miners, industrialists, and PvPers. One of the advantages you have of going with This Was the Way is you have a patient, experienced group of players that have been doing this for a while. The directors of the corporation are very knowledgeable. They have a lot of experience in a major nullsec block, and they know what they're doing. And we have, Chyph3r and I have personally spoken with them and flown with them on a few occasions. And we're okay with telling people that they're a good group to go apply for.
And the good thing about the leadership over there is if they have a question that they don't know the answer to, they'll go find it from other people who may know the answer.
Yep. And the only person I've ever seen them tell to go fuck themselves is you.
Well, yeah, but now we're cool.
Right?
We started off on the wrong foot, okay?
But that's Eve, right?
Yeah, exactly. You start off on the wrong foot, and then a few days later, you guys are, singing Kumbaya.
Yeah, hug it out.
Exactly.
Go blow up a station together, and everybody's friends again.
Yeah, exactly. You do what you got to do. But
It's
no, the
amazing.
Beskar guys are a good group, and I've been working in the background with them and giving input, and when they ask for it, I don't volunteer it. I just when they need something, I'll give them an honest answer, and they respect me for that because I'm not going to lie to them.
Yep.
Because I might have to fly with them, to do something, and I want them to have my back. You know what I mean?
Exactly. You got to make sure that the people you're flying with are worth flying with, and the guys over This Was the Way are a good group.
They are
Definitely a good group. Like flying with them.
Yes.
So if you're new to the game or just getting back into the game and you're like, man, I do want to jump back into low sec or null sec, but I don't want to make the commitment to the blue donut or whatever, or I just don't feel like my skills are quite there yet, get in touch with them. Talk to Johan. So again, the group is called This Was the Way, and their ticker is Beskar, Beskar, and your point of contact is Johan Penderson. That is JohanPendersen. The other director is Aaron Sun. Now you got to be careful with this one because there's a lot of names like that. It is AERYN-SUN. Okay, so that's what you got to make sure of. Aaron Sun. But Johan or Aaron, you get in touch with them from This Was the Way. If you're having a hard time finding them, get in touch with the show and we'll hook you guys up. We'll make sure you get in touch with them.
And if you're a veteran and you want to get out of the nullsec blocks or get out of Empire, come see us.
Come check out on the Defense Corps.
Yep.
So ODC dot. So you can look us up, like Chyph3r said, CHYPH3R. My name is Aradus Gunnell, Aradus Gunnell. That was a randomly generated name back when I did this. Don't ask where it came from. There it is.
Mine was spelled wrong because I was drunk.
At least you have a better story than I do. I just hit a button. So anyway, thank you guys for listening tonight. We'll be back in a week with another episode. And just so you guys know what's coming down the pipe, we already have a commitment from at least one current sitting CSM member who is also running for re-election that will be on the show very soon. And we're trying to get another one as well. So we'll be having some CSM candidate interviews coming down the pipe very, very soon for you guys, like in the next 2 weeks.
Exactly.
So that's kind of our specialty. For those folks who don't know too much about our old format back when we were called TEN Evening News, Chyph3r and I did a lot of interviews.
Interviews.
Yep. CCP developers, community leaders, space famous people. So we'll do it all.
Yeah, give some background. We've done Podside,
Angry Monkey Podcast.
Angry Monkey Podcast for me. Eve Radio. Actually, I was just on Open Comms a couple weeks, or
last week.
Not last Friday, the Friday before, and got told I was the godfather of podcasting for Eve.
What's that website you run?
Oh, evepodcast.xyz. It used to be a .com, but now it's an XYZ because money.
Because things.
Yep.
All right. So thank you guys for listening. We appreciate it, and we will see you next week.
Hey, wait, you listened all the way to the end? You sexy beast. Thanks for checking out Eve Low Life, our little Eve Online podcast about low sec life. We hope you enjoyed it. Please keep an eye out for our future episodes and feel free to get in touch with the hosts in-game, Chyph3r, CHYPH3R, or Aradus Gunnell, ARADUSGUNNELL. Remember, we do allow sponsorships and advertising on the show, paid in ISK, not real money. If you'd like us to plug your corporation or alliance, an upcoming event, or whatever else Eve related, reach out to us to discuss. We can help you make your ad, or you can design your own. Well, that's enough of this shit. Thanks for listening. Later, nerd.